Good Sunday morning, everyone. Today is an unprecedented Sunday. We've never in my lifetime anyway been unable to be in church for worship on Sunday morning because of a pandemic. However, this technological age allows us to care for one another in this new practice of social distancing while also remaining in touch. And our medical awareness is helping us to address this new virus wisely, I think. So today I want to propose we seek to weather this period of hiatus in worship by deepening our spiritual lives in prayer, fasting, generosity, and the practice of Sabbath stillness, and by reaching out in love and concern to one another, and particularly to those who will be deeply affected by this health crisis, either in their own personal health or by being isolated or because of the economic impact of it all. If you read the gospel for today in your homes, you'll see it's the rather terrible story of the wicked tenants of the vineyard who refuse to pay the rent that is rightly expected of them by the landlord. The vineyard in the story is Israel, and as Jesus spoke to his listeners in this parable, they all knew he was talking about them, because of a reference to Israel as the vineyard in Isaiah chapter 5. But we must be very careful how we interpret this story. Too often in Christian history has the story been used as a pretext for persecuting and punishing the Jews. But Israel in the story is really a microcosm of the whole of humanity. The story is about all of us. Here, God has given us this beautiful vineyard, the earth, full of all that we need, but we have wasted it with selfishness and greed. The story asks the question, what is required of us? Is it not that we will tend the vineyard of the earth, care for its treasures and natural wonders, and offer any of the benefits we reap from it to God in thanksgiving for the abundance of the creation? The second story in the gospel is very connected to the first. They try to trick Jesus into falling foul either of God or of the Roman Empire. In this story, the question is the same. What is required of us? What the Lord requires of us, Jesus answers elegantly. We must participate fully in civil society and pay our dues there. And we must offer to God what is God's due, which, if you listen to the gospel, is our whole selves, all that we have and all that we are. The prophet Micah poses the question too, what does the Lord require of you? To do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. In these difficult days, what is required of us who follow Christ combines both our civic and our spiritual duty. It's our duty of citizens not to gather for worship today or risk spreading this virus. It is also our duty as disciples of Jesus not to isolate ourselves from one another, hunkering down in fear or disregarding the call to care for one another and for those less fortunate. What is required in these days? Simply that we search for the most obvious and practical ways to express love for one another and our neighbors, and then do it. Please, let's stay in touch with one another. It will be mainly by telephone and email, but that will come to mean a lot to all of us in the coming weeks. God bless you and your families as we seek to confront this crisis by drawing on the strength of God and by leaning on one another. Please don't hesitate to call me or email me if I can help or if you think there are ways we need to act together as a community. God bless you all. You're in my prayers, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.